Project 3, Chapter 4, Gender, for Teaching Diverse Learners, by Jenna Cater. The male and female differences. Through early elementary school, boys and girls have similar hormonal levels and physical development. Puberty marks the difference in hormonal levels which control physical development. The proportion of fat to total body weight increases in girls and decreases in boys. Differences can be based on nature or by environment and culture. Differences based on nature. Some researchers have found differences in functioning between boys and girls in mathematical, verbal, and spatial skills. Females perform at higher levels on reading tests, and males perform better on assessments of mathematics. Some researchers suggest the differences are attributable to biological differences related to hormones affecting hemispheric specialization in the brain. Researchers on both sides recommend that different types of classroom activities are needed to engage boys and girls in the academic areas in which they are not performing proficiently. Boys are in greater need of one-on-one verbal engagement than girls. Boys need literacy immersion as well as opportunities for physical play and hands-on learning. Girls need to be engaged in similar activities to develop their mathematics, science, and spatial skills at higher levels. Socially constructed differences. The recreational and interpersonal differences between boys and girls are much greater than their cognitive and academic differences. Parents, siblings, teachers, and peers teach individuals from birth throughout life their perceptions of the meaning of femaleness and maleness. As soon as we know a baby's sex, everything from clothing to furniture to activities is gender-driven. Even when parents are determined not to reinforce the stereotypes, society works against them. Gender-specific toys and the actions of girls and boys on the pages of children's books and magazines, on television and on the internet, as well as in play with their peers, reinforce the gender expectations. Through this socialization process, children develop social skills and learn their socially prescribed roles and expectations. The influence of media on perception of gender roles. Television is a perpetuator of gender stereotyping. Many popular magazines portray the two sexes stereotypically. Retailers market products for the appropriate sex and reinforce stereotypical roles and expectations. Retailers have learned how to market their products for each sex and reinforce stereotypical roles and expectations, that girls are pretty and sweet and boys are active and aggressive. Socialization patterns in school. Educators often reinforce the stereotyped behaviors associated with males and females. Attitudes and values about appropriate gender roles are embedded in school curriculum. Children are active participants in the socialization process. Combating gender stereotypes in the classroom. Critics of elementary classrooms indicate that instruction is designed around the behaviors, interests, and needs of girls to the detriment of boys. Teachers should consciously ensure that classroom activities do not favor one group over another. Both boys and girls can learn the skills and attitudes that seem to be more natural to the opposite sex through participating in the preferred activities of the other group. Teachers need to pay attention to the leadership in cooperative groups to ensure gender equity. Teachers need to be aware of the gender and ethnicity of the authors being read by students. Gender identity. Most differences are based on gender or the cultural differences between femininity and masculinity. Gender is culturally determined and learned through socialization. Recognition of gender identity occurs unconsciously early in life and becomes a basic anchor for self-identity. Masculinity and femininity. Masculinity is often measured by a man's independence, assertiveness, leadership, self-reliance, and emotional stability. Men are expected to demonstrate tough, confident, and self-reliant behaviors as well as being aggressive and daring. Femininity is stereotypically characterized as emotional, dependent, compliant, empathetic, and nurturing. Most cultures value masculinity over femininity, but many people do not fit the stereotypical profile associated with their sex. Few people fall solely at one end or the other of the feminine and masculine continuum. Most of us possess some characteristics of each. Both men and women are often able to move to more androgynous behaviors without social repercussions. These changes are resulting in new uncertainties where the norms of the gender role are no longer so distinct. As new norms develop, more flexible roles, personalities, and behaviors are evolving for both females and males. However, we are likely to see adolescents struggling with their gender identity, especially in the middle and high school years. Transgender identity. Gender identity in some cultures and society is not limited to male and female. Some individuals are born with the biology of one sex, but think and behave like the other sex. When someone's identity, appearance, or behavior fall outside the conventional gender norms, they are described as transgender. The influence of ethnicity and religion. Gender identity is influenced by a family's ethnicity, class, and religion. Religions generally recognize and include masculine and feminine expectations as part of their doctrines. Students with physical disabilities may face challenges at meeting the traditional expectations for masculinity and femininity as well. Struggles for gender equity. Most major changes in society do not occur quickly or quietly. The desire for independence and equal rights were the fuel that fired the struggle for gender equity. The early struggles. Since the mid-19th century, women's groups have continued to struggle for equality. Initial struggles involved the rights to divorce, to own property, to speak in public, prevent abuse by husbands, work, and vote. Opponents to the feminist movement included men and women, because many believed a woman's responsibilities were to be a good wife and mother. The second wave. The most significant advances occurred in the 1960s as feminists gained the support of more women and men than at any other time in history, developing out of the civil rights movement. The Equal Pay Act of 1963 required the same pay for the same job for men and women. Title VII, approved in 1964, prohibited discrimination based on race, color, national origin, or sex. Today's promises and challenges. Equal rights for women, men, gays, and lesbians continue to be contested. Feminists fight for equality in jobs, pay, schooling, responsibilities in the home, and the nation's laws. Much has been accomplished over the past 4 decades, but inequality continues to exist. The boy crisis. Concerned observers indicate that boys have been shortchanged as schools have turned their focus to improving the academic performance of girls. This backlashes over the belief that there is now an advantage for girls in the classroom. Today, more girls than boys are in advanced placement classes, more are completing higher education at all levels, and more boys are being disciplined in schools than females. In addition, more boys than girls are in special education classes for students with intellectual disabilities and severe emotional disturbances. Girls spend more time studying than boys and are more likely to say that good grades are important to them. And girls are getting the message that hard work will lead to success in college and also in the workplace. But that message is not getting through to boys, particularly if their parents do not value a college education. The cost of sexism and gender discrimination. Sexism is the belief that men are superior to women and should dominate them in the home and at work. Some women, even today, are encouraged to advance themselves through marriage rather than through their own achievement and independence. Gender discrimination not only is practiced by individuals, but also has been institutionalized in policies, laws, rules, and precedents in society. Jobs. The sexual division of labor has historically been fairly rigid. The gap between the participation of men and women in high-prestige professions has narrowed, but not been eliminated. Educators need to consider strategies to equalize the number of males and females pursuing the fields in which they currently have limited representation. Income. Both women and men will earn higher incomes with increasing education. Women typically earn less, 67%, than men when their educations are equal. Educators will need to work more effectively with parents in the community to eliminate the high dropout rates and encourage college attendance. Sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is a form of sex discrimination that has long existed in the workplace. The harassment can be verbal, visual, or physical. Sexual harassment can be very damaging to its victims, having an impact on their emotions, subsequent behavior and academic performance. Educators are beginning to feel legal pressures to stop sexual harassment of students. Bringing equality to the classroom and beyond. Education is key to upward mobility and financial security in adulthood. Girls appear to take better advantage of education than their male peers. Teachers can develop classroom environments that take advantage of the learning styles of boys and girls. Title IX. Title IX addresses discriminatory practices on the basis of gender in three key areas: students' admissions, student treatment, and personal employment. Title IX makes it illegal to treat students differently or separately on the basis of gender. It requires that all programs, activities, and opportunities offered by a school district be equally available to males and females, and all courses must be open to all students. Improving academic performance. The real gap in achievement in the United States is not related to gender, but rather to race and ethnicity. Educators should be developing strategies for improving the academic achievement of all students. Different approaches to teaching, including technology integration, may help improve academic performance of girls and boys. Non-sexist education. Non-sexist education is designed to ensure that the two sexes are treated fairly and equitably in the curriculum, their interactions with teachers, instructional and extracurricular activities. To promote non-sexist classrooms, teachers should require reading that include women authors as well as male authors. Males and females should appear on bulletin boards and in teacher-prepared materials in non-stereotypical jobs and roles, and male students need to participate in stereotypically female activities and vice versa. Single-sex education. Single-sex schools focus on the skill development of young women or men by using their unique learning styles and cultural experiences. Although most single-sex schools are for females, some private schools are for boys only. Research shows that students in single-sex settings have higher self-esteem than their peers in co-educational settings. Little or no differences in achievement and attitudes about the academic subject have been found. Women's studies programs. Women's studies programs are similar to ethnic studies programs. These programs attempt to record and analyze historical and contemporary experiences of women. Courses are generally elective and include concepts of consciousness raising and views of women as a separate group with unique needs and disadvantages in school and in society.